أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد. To the Dean of Students, Victoria University, to my brother Kanso, Nabil, brother Farouk, ladies and gentlemen, protocol observed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was tasked to discuss the essence of Ramadan and fasting, and I don't want to waste any more minute. I just want to go straight to the point. In most cases, when we spiritually discuss about something, many Muslims in this case think that if there is an act of worship, there is nothing we can get out of it socially, and that's why we take almost every act of worship for granted, not knowing that if you just change the coin, flip it over, there is a lot that you will get and learn out of the fact that you're fasting that goes beyond hunger and thirst you're having right now. So I really want to dedicate these few minutes I'm having to discuss what are some of the disciplines, logical lessons a Muslim would appreciate from the essence of fasting, or maybe from Ramadan, if I'm to say. We are trained to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran was like, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, me and you, Kutiba alaykumus siyam, we have prescribed unto you fasting, leaving out stuff that are going to spoil your fasting. Kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. We are not the first group of people to fast, but our predecessors also used to practice the same. So they also had their own style of fasting, and the one reason, this is the gist of the matter, the one reason as to why Muslims in this season are leaving out drinks and eats during daytime, it's not for them to feel hunger or maybe to feel thirst, no. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Perhaps they might attain the highest levels of piety, discipline-wise, tolerance-wise, other behaviors out of the act of fasting. So that alone, the act we are doing right now of leaving out stuff, fasting if you might say, there are very many lessons embedded in only that one act that if at all you don't put attention to them, probably you're wasting time and Ramadan is getting done, you're not going to learn anything. And this is why it's very easy for many Muslims to become angels in Ramadan. And after Ramadan, they get back to becoming devils. Isn't it? Everyone knows that now we are in the season, Muslims are going to keep on smiling, Muslims are going to talk good, Muslims are going to behave well. And then after Ramadan, you also have an excuse. You're going to be like, Ramadan is done, so I'm going to behave the other way around. The one reason as to why we have that as a belief is we are not taking time to appreciate some of these lessons we might get out of the fasting. And probably let me only make use of 2 or maybe 3 because of time. I would like to put your attention that even other religions have their own style of fasting. I don't know how it is in other religions, but I believe if at all they pay attention to this session, probably in as far as society upbringing is concerned, we are going to end up learning the same way, and we are going to live in harmony, probably getting these lessons out of the same one act we are having. But in as far as Muslims are concerned, let me squeeze out these lessons out of the fasting we are having. Now, There is no way you're going to attain the highest levels of piety, to be a close friend of Allah, when you're lacking the aspect of being empathetic and tolerant as you're fasting. It's because the fasting you're practicing right now was designed divinely to train everyone that subscribed to this religion, to this style of fasting, to at least learn practically the hard way, to learn to be empathetic and tolerant in the long run. A simple example. When you're fasting from morning to evening, you're given a chance to experience what the needy people, the poor people that can't get access to the basic needs normally, you have chance of experiencing what they go through normally. And that's why I normally even make it a point to say, I'm this one person who I don't actually want to waste my time to plead to someone who is financially stable to extend a hand of help to someone who is needy. I think to myself and I'm like, if you're a human being, because you don't even have to be a Muslim to understand this. If you're a human being, or maybe a plus, if you're a Muslim and you're practicing fasting, you're literally going to feel hungry during daytime. You're given a chance to experience what probably someone who isn't at your financial level is experiencing, the needy people, those people who are poor, that have no access to maybe food, to water. At least you're experiencing that. It's like Allah is teaching you a divine lesson to learn it hard, that when you're hungry, that hungry, please, you don't need a religious someone to sweat around trying to plead to you to extend a hand of help to someone who is needy. So it's like you're literally putting yourself into the same position of someone who is needy, and you're going to definitely extend help to them. That's why as Muslims, as whoever is fasting, we're even encouraged to even endeavor giving in Zakatul Fitr. Zakatul Fitr literally means you're going to purify your fasting and you extend help to whoever is not going to feel happy like you're going to feel happy, to give them a chance to smile that day on the day of Eid. So the one lesson we learn out of the act of fasting we are on right now is, please Muslims, there is no way you're going to be a friend of Allah when you're not empathetic, when you're not tolerant in that angle. There is no Muslim that is going to be a friend of Allah when you have no discipline of helping someone else. And I normally challenge everyone here. You don't want to convince me that you don't have any soul on this earth that you can put a smile onto with whatever income you're having, with whatever skills you're having, with whatever capabilities you're having. Maybe you don't have cash money, but you're in position of power and authority. So if at all you're fasting, you're given a chance to at least extend a hand of help in your position, because at least you're in the shoes of whoever would be in that place, and you're learning that as you're fasting. So someone who is living out drinks and eats as they are fasting, and they don't know that as a point, they are just going to literally end Ramadan, and it's just going to be the order of the day. But someone who is getting and learning that as a point, after Ramadan, these are the people that are going to learn it, and they are like, as they earn something, as they have something onto them, as they are smiling, they think of extending the same smile to maybe a brother or maybe a sister. And that's the guidance of Islam. So that's the number one discipline. The second discipline, fasting trains us Muslims. My brother Council has been talking about controlling ourselves. Now, as we are fasting, we are trained to control ourselves. And this is a discipline that everyone that really want to get successful in this life, you have to take it back home the discipline of controlling yourself at some point. Let me bring an example, a relevant example, as you're fasting. Now, right now, it's only a few minutes to the breaking of the fasting, isn't it? Don't you have access to anything, to a drink, or maybe to something to eat? Of course you do have. Maybe you have money. You can even get something to drink. But I dare you, you're not going to do that. Some of the Muslims are devoted in a way that even when they are forced, they won't take that step of eating something, not until the sun has already set. So if we get to learn that angle, fasting, I would like to recognize the arrival of Sheikh Zubadu, my brother Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A Muslim who is fasting learns it the same way, that just like you're controlling your desire not to eat something, not because you don't have anything to, you don't have money to get it, not because you don't have access to anything to eat or maybe to anything to drink. That is a discipline you're supposed to take back home as you're fasting. Imagine a youth who can't control their desires sexually. These are the people that are going to just shame us rather. Imagine someone who is your employee and doesn't have that as a discipline of controlling their own desires. So by the end of Ramadan, a Muslim is expected to learn that as a lesson, that just like you're controlling your desires as a result of fasting, you're not going to eat anything, even with the fact that you can. Just take the same style of control into your other aspects of life. That means even when you're broke, you're not going to get tempted to oppressing someone else's money just because they have given it to you. If I give you my 1M, you're not going to take anything off it just because you've learned to control your desire, even when your desire is contrary to the reality. Now imagine if every Muslim understood that. And that's why when the Prophet was trying to guide the youths, me and you, whoever is not married here, fasting can be a remedy for you, your sexual desires, to make sure you don't switch to immorality. Because as you fast, it will help you to control your own sexual desires to make sure you don't go immoral. That's why the Prophet was like, if at all you don't have the capability to get married or maybe to marry, فَعَلَيْهِ بِالصَّوْمِ. No worries, switch to fasting. Because it's a workshop for you to learn to control yourself, to control your desires. In the long run, you're going to be a better Muslim. So as Ramadan is ending, these are some of the disciplines we expect from every Muslim to learn. Control yourself, because there is no way you're going to achieve whatever goal you're having positively, not until you have some of these disciplines within you. To learn to control your excitement, to learn to control your anger, to learn to control your desires, to be it good or bad. Whatever case, you're trained for 29 days to make sure you're a better person, a relatable kind of person tomorrow. And that's why scholars were like, if at all Ramadan is done, and your rate of relatability is demanding, then something is wrong with your fasting. We expect a Muslim who is done with fasting to be too friendly, to be too much understanding. Everyone would like to be a friend to you, because, come on, you've just gone through a workshop that is making you a better person tomorrow. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that understanding. I'm someone who believes that even when Ramadan is done, no wonder some Muslims here are going to switch back to immorality. Madam Dean, I would like to put to your attention that we have categories of Muslims when Ramadan comes to an end. There is a category that feels unfine because of the season ending. And there's also a category that rejoices, and it's like, it's okay, let Ramadan get done. So my assumption is If at all you attain these lessons, after all, Ramadan is ending in not even more than 5 days, not even 4. It's getting to an end. So if at all we want to see good Muslims after Ramadan, these are some of the disciplines we really have to take back home. I'm really limited by time, but there are very many disciplines we learn out of fasting as Muslims. I want to wind up my lecture by at least giving a piece of advice to Muslims here. Please learn that as you're fasting, you're not doing anyone any favor. Because probably after Ramadan, you're going to get back to behaving bad, you're going to get back to dressing unwell, you're going to get back to behaving immorally, or so on. But whoever is understanding all these disciplines, just like we've made mention of them at the end of Ramadan, these are the people that are going to be relatable. These are people who are going to, we are going to enjoy living with them. We won't have any issues with relating with them or maybe befriending them, and so on and so forth. So please, let's make our Ramadan, this Ramadan, a life-changing Ramadan. Disciplines like patience. Imagine spending the whole day without taking anything. Do you really need someone to also remind you that you're learning it the hard way, that just because you're learning actually patience? Because I'm hungry and you're also hungry. I'm thirsty, also you're thirsty. But you're going to spend the whole day without taking anything. That is patience there. And you're not going to stop today. Even tomorrow you're going to still stay on the same situation. So that is consistency now. Even with the fact that there is hardship today, it's not going to stop you from doing something tomorrow. So imagine a Muslim that is understanding fasting in that angle. You're going to succeed in your career. You're going to succeed in your studies, because even when you take a retake, it won't be the end of the journey. You've learned consistency as you're fasting, and you've learned patience as you're fasting. Imagine a human being, an adult, mature as you, not being patient. Who is going to relate with you? Imagine a mature someone like you that is not consistent. Who is going to want to employ you? Imagine having someone in your circle, your family, your friends, when you're not empathetic. Who is going to relate with you? If at all no one wants to relate with you and you're not empathetic, you're not patient, you're not, these disciplines we learn from fasting, then they have a reason not to relate with you. At least they have justified their reason of not wanting to be close with you. But as Muslims, we are like, our religion is designed to make us better people. So after Ramadan, we expect the same love we're having right now to be there even after Ramadan. We expect the same level of sharing that we've been sharing in Ramadan to be there even after Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us these disciplines within our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our fasting. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our acts of worship that we've really practiced in this season of Ramadan. I would like to end my session with 2 points. Point number 1, please, those who have the financial capability, I call you to pay Zakatul Fitr. Zakatul Fitr literally has 2 aims. 1, you purify your fasting. Okay, one relevant example. How many of us here have not backbited anyone ever since Ramadan began? Please raise up your hand. How many of us here have not lied ever since Ramadan began? How many of us here have not fornicated even from when Ramadan started? I've also put up the hand. So the backbiting, the lying, as you give Zakatul Fitr, Allah is like, even when my servant has gone astray here minorly, let me forego that, because he is actually adding something onto the society. Please endeavor to do that. And lastly, be a better Muslim after Ramadan. Yeah, some of the points that denote, show us that Ramadan has worked for you if you just go on being a better Muslim even after Ramadan. But if at all we see a totally opposite someone after Ramadan, some people are even planning to disobey Allah on Eid day. It's very okay because it's your life, no one cares. You're only just bothering your parents and your family or your own creation. But it's one of the issues that denote and show that Ramadan has not worked for you. May Allah not put us amongst those people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us better people. I believe if we become Muslims that learn from Ramadan, we are going to relate with others. Other communities will love and like to relate with us. Barakallahu fikum. I would like to stop here because it's almost time for iftar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our fasting. Thanks for indulging me. Barakallahu fikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.